Good Saturday morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency.
Now, here's your host, Larry Ray.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and happy 4th of July holiday. Yes, Shelby McCall is clapping there. It's just me and her on this special edition of Outdoors with Larry Ray, the holiday edition, the July 4th, and I don't know who I'd rather spend the 4th of July, and we've done this. We spent a lot of 4th of Julys on the radio with these two guys over the years, because Gene Smith was there for the very first one.
Amen to that, yeah.
About 24 years ago, and then, of course, the other part of what we call, the Daryl and Daryl show? Is that what
Daryl old-time radio show.
And let's hear that voice from Lexington, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, y'all talking about the first one? You talking about 1776?
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all had a chance to see on Facebook, but I posted a TWRA picture, and you'll have to get it. Dave Rand, look on there, because the TWRA sent out some tips about how to be safe on the 4th of July holiday weekend, boating and things. And they ran a picture of George. They ran that famous picture of George Washington in the boat with all those troops. Yeah, and they had them all wearing life jackets.
Oh, did they really?
Oh, yeah. So as soon as I posted that, I get a call from a friend saying, "Well, that's great, but there's too many people on that boat. They overloaded the boat." So I don't know. It was pretty cool, but we do hope everybody has a safe holiday. I know we've had a little bit of rain. It's heat early in the week, a lot of heat, but I had a chance to play some golf early in the week, and it was a wonderful day. But now we're back to what we got. This is regular. This is July. I don't know what you guys feel about July and August are my hardest months to survive. I don't know if that's because of age or whatever, but I don't know how you guys feel about July and August. Gene, I know you've been through more than I have. Not by many, but you know, I like the cold weather. Now I may be silly or something. What about y'all?
I know my line. You know, some people are talking about in July. They go, "Is it hot enough for you?" I said, "It'll do till August gets here."
There you go. Yeah. And you know, I mean, we didn't have air conditioning growing up.
No.
I had an attic fan when I was growing up, and I told that to somebody, and they said, "How did you get that fan in the attic?" You know, they didn't understand attic fans.
Right, yeah. It was in the ceiling.
yeah, it's up there, and you open it up, and it sounded like something out of Home Alone. Scares you, you know, but it would bring all.
Go ahead.
No, it would bring all that air from outside, but you know.
Right.
But you know, we've been spoiled. Then we had something called air cooled that was worked off water, and the house molded with all those kind of things.
Oh, well, yeah.
But I know I grew up in this. All of us guys grew up in the city, even though Dave's got country roots. But I don't know, and I'm not going to get in.
The house that I grew up in, you know, it wasn't central air. There was like window units.
There you go, window units.
When my dad finally, you know, got air conditioning in the house.
Yeah, but you used fans. You had lots of fans, and then the ceiling fans. But anyway, folks, you got to be real careful this weekend. You need to be
stay hydrated.
You got to stay hydrated and. Stay off of those things that you don't need to be drinking if you're out boating, because I know the TWRA, Dave knows this better than anybody, they'll be out in full force, just like those folks that drive those cars with the flashing lights on them are going to be out full force this weekend. But
a lot of people don't realize you talk about boating like that, but studies, you know, Coast Guard studies have shown that you spend the day out on the water with the rocking motion and the glare and the sun and everything will impair you, even if you don't drink.
That's true.
Will impair you like you have been drinking.
Yeah.
And when you add adult beverages on top of that.
You just double it.
You
Yeah,
know, it just kind of doubles the effect.
Yeah, and I know, Gene, teaching hunter education, you stress a lot of things about hypothermia and things like that in the wintertime, but summertime can be very dangerous if you're out hiking or whatever it might, right, Gene? I mean,
Yeah, you remember way a while back when those football players were duck hunting and they all drowned because they didn't have life jackets on.
yeah.
That was tragic.
Well,
But you don't realize, it floats. You don't.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And
And especially in this hot weather, I would suggest if you're sitting there, been in the sun, if you're going to dive in the water, I would suggest put a life jacket on, because studies have shown that if you're laying in that hot sun and you dive into that cold water,
yeah.
that the temperature difference when it hits your inner ear,
Yeah.
it will disorient you, and that's where you hear the stories of the investigators when they go out and they say, well, they dove in and they never come up.
Well, they hit
Right.
Yeah, they hit that temperature thing that
And
shuts their body temperature down, and also, there'll be a lot of folks will be diving into water this weekend, and you better make sure it's deep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I would not head dive first. I would feet dive first before I'd head dive into some unknown water.
Well, I've got friends that have done that, and they're in wheelchairs now. Simply
Well, that was
because,
when he died.
yeah, you got to be.
They found him dead in the water.
So be careful. We're going to have a lot of fun on today's show. We're going to bring back Jeff Milam is going to join us in the first segment. And you say, well, we just talked to Jeff a couple of weeks ago. Well, we talked about brim fishing and bluegill fishing up at Reelfoot, but we're going to talk a little bit on this next segment. Let Dave join in about the Grand American coming up in Sparta in a couple of weeks, right, Dave? I mean, it's
That's right. It'll start
in July.
on July 31st.
Yeah, and I know that Dave will be there, and then Jeff, of course, is president of 80 Below Sporting Oil right out of West Tennessee here, and I know from his perspective as a vendor. We're going to talk to Jeff, and then, of course, we're going to talk to world duck calling champion Seth Fields. 2 years ago, he won the world championship out of Selmer, Tennessee. I think that's where he's from. But he's had so many things happen to him now. He's got his own call-making business, and we're going to let y'all in on a little thing that he and his wife have started up. But then Cliff Prince, age of 54, man, he won a big $100,000 pot with one of the BASS tournaments recently, and I've never seen so many people congratulate somebody for hanging in there in his career. But we're going to talk to Cliff, and then our good friend Jim McCafferty of Macomb, Mississippi. Now, if you think of, I remember he's the man that wrote about bear hunting in Mississippi. He's written about all the cane breaks of Mississippi. Well, he's got a new book out now, and it's all about called The Bird Dog Man. And it's got a Memphis tie to this story about a National Bird Dog Championships. And then we'll close it out with a big announcement on one of our good friends here, Mark Copley. You folks know Mark from his days with Strike King and Rather Outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mark has got a new job. He's going to God's country, people. And if you don't know where that is, I'll tell you later on. But Mark will be on at in the last segment. But again, Shelby McCall is taking care of us. Our brother Daryl, Gene Smith, and Dave Gabbert. And Gene, we can't go without starting off with a pun. Can you remember at least one? So.
Well, I went to the doctor the other day, and he gave me some information. I said, "Can I get another opinion?" He said, "Well, can you come back tomorrow?"
Oh my goodness! So we're gonna have a lot of fun, and I know the preparation. We're talking a lot about the weather, but folks, it's always hot. It's July and August.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is Memphis. Yes,
this is Memphis or wherever you might be, and they give the heat index. Did we ever? who invented the heat index?
I know, and what it feels like.
Yeah, it feels like temperature. Yeah. Now, so, I mean, we got the heat index, and then what do we have? The other one in the wintertime? What's that called?
The wind chill.
Wind chill. The wind chill.
Yeah, wind chill.
Yeah.
When you've got a wind. I mean, but the heat index is one of those things that I always say, who invented it? Maybe I can Google that, I guess, but I don't know. 'Cause every time they tell me it's 98 in Tunica, it's 115 heat index, and I don't know if they're talking about the casinos or what. Down there.
Not everybody is affected with the heat. Some people the heat doesn't bother them,
but
some people it doesn't take much.
No, yeah, but we didn't have heat index. When we go outdoors right now, and I know Frank and Barton and some of those guys are training their dogs. Dave can sit on his porch and drink his iced tea or his coffee. I don't drink as much coffee in the summertime as I do in the winter. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's so many coffee places now in town that people, there's almost as many new car washes in Memphis as there are coffee places.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but there's a car wash on about every third block.
Yeah.
And they're all in competition. And, back in my day, the only car wash I had was I'd pull my car in the driveway and get the hose out. But
exactly right, yeah.
Yeah, so, I guess we're aging ourselves right here, right? So anyway. All right, guys, get ready. We're going to roll this morning. Let's take our first break of the morning. We're going to come back and talk to a man over in West Tennessee. It's been to how many grands you been to, Dave?
I've been going to them since 87.
1887. Dave was there with his long rifle back those days. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this July 4th holiday weekend. It's a long weekend. July 4th was on Thursday. A lot of folks are off Friday also. Got a long weekend, and we've talked about all the safety precautions to take as we stressed about being on the water or wherever you might be for this holiday weekend to make it a successful and smooth and safe weekend. And, of course, this is first Saturday, so that means who do I have as co-host? I have the old-time radio show.
The Daryl and Daryl show, old-time radio show.
That's it. Did you hear that big deep voice from Gene Smith? Okay. And then the other half of that is my good friend Dave Gabbert. Good morning, guys, again. And
good morning.
Good morning.
And I know we're going to talk on this segment with a guy that was on a couple of weeks ago when I had the privilege to be up at Reelfoot at Blue Bank Resort, and they seem like they think that me and Jeff Milam are a team. I guess they trust us in a boat together, but we seem like we end up together in a boat twice this time, and it was twice the fun. It's always great to see Jeff and recognize his company, 80 Below Sporting Oil, based right out of West Tennessee here, and one of our good folks. And good Saturday morning, Jeff.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Always good to be here. But we wanted to bring Jeff in for a special reason because there's a big event coming up the end of July. And so why don't you, Dave Gabbert, talk about for the event that's coming up. Then I want to kind of let Jeff come in and talk about 80 Below and their part in this big event coming up. Talk about it, Dave.
Okay, well, each year, and it'll be at the end of July, first part of August, you have what we call the Grand American World Trap Shooting Championships.
Yes.
And they'll be held in Sparta, Illinois, where the, championship has moved to. And a lot of people don't know that championship started in 1893.
Wow. Okay.
Up in New York.
Well, how was it when you were there for the first one? Was it quite a?
It was right challenging because you shot live birds.
Okay, and you had Gene Smith as your bird boy. I remember that. No,
he was
catching the birds
out there.
Yeah, he was catching your birds. But so talk. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But of course, in 2005, it moved to Sparta, Illinois, because they had to move from Vandalia, Ohio, where it had been since
forever.
1924.
Yeah. Okay.
And but and the scope of this championship, people don't realize. You talk about shooting trap. They'd see a little trap field out there or something that they may be used to.
No.
We're talking about a complex that has 120 trap fields.
120 trap fields.
The line is 3.5 miles long.
Goodness gracious! Yeah.
But and the gentleman that we're talking to on this segment, I've been seeing up there for years. You said you see him in the boat all the time. Well, I see him out there.
That's right.
On the east side of the trap line out there on Vendors Row, sitting in a chair instead of a boat.
Well, let Jeff jump in here from the vendor's point. Jeff, when you go to the Grand, as we call it up there, I know you're not the only vendor there, buddy. So talk about it from the vendor perspective at this event.
Well, the Grand, it's one of my largest. I call it shows, but it's one of my largest deals all year long, of course, because it lasted so long. I actually go for the AIM right on the front end of the Grand also. And so I'm there from about the 28th of July through the Grand, which this year I think it ends up about August 12th, 13th.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah.
For a couple of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
part of 3 weeks. I'm sitting there on Vendors Row, as they call it. And they've got everything. I always enjoy it because you can just sit there and relax and talk to people and sell some products and walk up and look at new guns. And like Dave was saying, that thing goes so you can go west. Seems like forever. You need to get your cart because you don't need to be walking it or drive your truck up there to where the big gun houses are and the what you call the real big vendors are.
Well, how many vendors do you think there are? How many vendors?
Oh, gosh, I don't know, Dave. What do you think?
Oh, there's hundreds of vendors.
Hundreds of vendors, and of course,
we're talking a competition that, like last year, I was looking at the figures a little earlier for the total entries. We're talking shooters for the total entries for last year was over 30,000. But when you talk about when you talk about people just coming in and looking for the day, you're probably for that 10-day period, you're probably talking 50,000 people.
Yeah, they'll be from Australia, Peru, Brazil. They'll be from everywhere, you might say.
And it's an event. I mean,
it is an event,
and that no telling what the economic value of that is for that country there. I mean, that area of Illinois. What are we close to there? What are we close to? Any Sparta? I know that sounds like I think of in the heat of the night. I hope it's not. I mean that's the only Sparta I know. But
right.
But
where is it?
I think it's about an hour from St. Louis, and Perryville, Missouri is not too far away.
Sparta sits southeast of St. Louis. It's above. If you're familiar with Illinois, Carbondale.
Okay.
up
Southern
there
Illinois.
Where the old crab orchard, all the old goose clubs.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Up north, it's north of there. So I know it's from my driveway to my campsite in Sparta. At the complex is 235 miles.
Wow. Okay. And then of course,
That's all right.
and Jeff, your company. Talk a little bit about your company itself, because I know Dave is one of your ambassadors. He's not going to leave without his 80 below, and we didn't really get to talk much about it when we were bluegill fishing. But for our folks listening in, tell us a little bit about 80 below.
Well, we started 80 below about 7 or 8 years ago because we love the waterfowl hunt, basically. And we go to Canada, get up there and get in situations where it get dirty and nasty and it freeze and thaw, and your gun get all muddy and then it freeze, and you gun shoot one time or shoot none, freeze the gun. Then we're talking about automatic weapons here mostly,
Right, yeah.
And you just want them to cycle. And I was an oil distributor and had the opportunity with my chemists and stuff to work on this over a period of a few years there. And I wasn't intended on really doing anything with it other than finding something that would work, know. And when I found something that would work, I started in talking to them about enhancing it a little bit and getting the high side up, the low side low, and making it was intriguing. I just wanted to make just kind of a perfect gun lubricant, and it just turns out to be good for just about anything you want to use it for a padlock or for a winch cable or starter Bendix, whatever you want to spray it on. It's going to enhance it to the point that any kind of sliding working mechanism is just going to work that much better. And it really don't matter how hot it is or how cold it is.
And you're located. Tell our listeners where you're located.
I'm in a little old town called Decaturville, Tennessee.
Yes.
And nobody really knows where Decaturville is unless you know the Tennessee River is a big. This past 4th of July, people were just crazy down there. It was wild.
And it's wild. And I know, Dave, talk about. You think a lot of 80 below. So talk about
I use 80 below. I find and it's not only is a good lubricant, but kind of a strange thing. What I found it also is good for, when you shoot, a lot of clay targets, you're shooting a lot of rounds, your choke tubes and stuff. You get a lot of plastic buildup from the plastic wads.
Yeah.
So cleaning choke tubes, and for some unknown reason, I've been using the 80 below. I'll spray it inside the choke tubes.
There you go.
And it slicks them up, and the buildup is not as bad.
Well, I told this to Jeff. I said I used to know a taxidermist over in East Arkansas. He had a sign in his store when you went there. We don't use humans. We don't do humans. As a taxidermist. Well, I think I asked Jeff, being at my age, can I shoot a little bit of this 80 below my arm, or something like that? Shut down on my squeaking.
Put a little on your joints.
Yeah, my joint. Well, I don't go to joints. It's been a long time since I've been in a joint. Oh, that kind of joint. Okay, I was getting mixed up right there. The truck driver driving down Mississippi this morning said, did Larry Ray talk about going to a joint? No, we're talking about body joints. And again, we're talking to Jeff Milam of 80 Below. And I think we explained the name for this. And then when I was talking to Caleb Dunn at Reelfoot the other day, we only got a couple minutes, and Caleb was saying when he goes to Canada, he said he takes his 80 Below with him. And basically we're talking about something that protects firearms, whatever, up to 80 below, right, Jeff? I mean,
that's correct, and he takes a couple of cases with him for the whole club up there.
Yeah. And so, getting back to the Grand, so Jeff, you'll be up there as a vendor. You'll have 80 below up there, and there's with 30,000 people, a typical day, and we only got a couple of minutes. I know what Dave does, but a typical day, these people just come by and you have a chance to visit with them and promote your product, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. I've been there long enough now that, Larry, that I get all kinds of testimony, just like Dave was talking about the slicking of the barrels and the choke cans and hinges, how they have the grease on the hinges.
It's amazing, yeah.
And that's part of what keeps me going. It's just the gratification of having something that somebody said, why is yours better than this certain product? I said, I don't say it's better. I just say mine works. How about that?
Yours works. So tell our people how they can get information about it. And, folks, he's got a cool hat. I've already had 5 people want my hat. I'm telling you. I mean, when it's 98 degrees, you put on that 80 below hat, and it's mesh, and you put it on, you just think cool. When you say 80 below, So
think cool.
Yeah. Tell them how they can get in touch with you. More information, Jeff.
Hey, go to 80belowoil.com on my website and check it out. And, you can find this stuff. It's got a dealer locator on there, and you can check on dealers all over the country. McCafferty Wings is one of my bigger dealers.
It is,
and
yeah.
I have Cut It Down Waterfowl. They several of them. It's on Amazon. Just go on Amazon, click the button, and put in 80 Blow, and it'll tell you some affiliate dealers of mine that's handling it through Amazon.
Well, all I'm asking, if you do see Dave up there, make sure he comes home. Okay, I mean.
I'll stop by and talk to him.
I know you're going to stop by. Yeah, I know that for a fact. All right, guys. Thank you, Jeff Milam, buddy. I don't think we'll call you for a couple more weeks now. Okay.
Hey, Larry, I appreciate you, man.
All right,
have a great day, and I'll see you next time, bro.
All right, okay, buddy. All right, let's take a break.
See you in Sparta.
All right, let's take a break before these guys start talking to each other. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. And I've been wanting to get this next young man back on at radio with us because back in 2022 he did what so many competitive duck callers try to do. He won the world championship over at Stuttgart. And we had Seth Fields on with us at that time. But we need to catch up with Seth. And if you hear some noise in the background, that's because Seth's working right now. He's doing things that he loves to do, and that's make duck calls. So we're going to get into this. Good morning, Seth.
Good morning. How is everyone doing this morning?
We're doing great. We got Dave Gabbert, Gene Smith, our co-host, and guys, listen in because Seth, he's been on a journey. I guess you would call this a journey, right, Seth? I mean, God has taken you through the medical field. He's taken you through so many different avenues, and we get here, and I still go back and I remember your connection to Mike McLemore, one of my all-time favorite guests on this show, the late Mike McLemore, and what he meant to you growing up in Huntington, and work our way through winning the world championship. And now you're doing something that's really you're building a building, right? I mean, is it you're making duck calls? Tell our listeners what you're doing right now.
Well, right now I'm working full time as a nurse. I've been with a hospice company for a little over a year in my local area, and I am trying to keep a 2.5-year-old alive and support my wife. She's in nurse practitioner school, so she's kind of stressed and tired, and I've tried to take on as many responsibilities as I can, and then more than what I should sometimes, but it all works out. But I also in my spare time, which I have none, I have a duck call shop, just a big shop building, and I've been working on trying to get it up, and my Uncle Tommy Bridger has had me some pecan from his sawmill, and it's nice and spalted pecan with good heart and sapwood. And I've been putting that up on the walls in the early mornings before it gets hot, which it doesn't take very long at all to get hot. But me and my little man will go out there, and then I'll turn the sprinklers on and play with him for a little bit, and we'll come inside and take a nap. And then after nap time, during that time, I try to go next door to my mother and father-in-law's, where right now all my duck call stuff is set up in their garage basement in the corner, and try to work a few duck calls, making custom wood and acrylic and stuff duck calls by hand.
Fields custom calls now, right? I mean,
yes, sir. That is correct. That's what I am doing. I recently just started taking orders for duck calls. I've been piddling and making on them for about 5 years now, and I entered the first ones into the NWTF calling competition back in February. Where call makers across the country send in their calls, and then you have a wide array of judges of different experience and different ways that they blow. And
how did you do?
I was fortunate enough to bring back the title of 2020 2024 National Amateur Call Maker of the Year.
Wow!
So
wow!
so it's a good start, a good start, and a good showing up there, and learned a lot and got some feedback, and come back home and started working on it, and I decided after the competition, there was another competition last month that was a call making competition at Stuttgart at R&T Duck Call Shop, where 4 competitors, 4 call makers got together on one team and 4 on the other, and we had 10 hours to make 2 duck calls that ran, operated exceptionally and looked exceptional. So we had 2 guys on my team, me and a friend named Lane Dunning, that were the sound guys in charge of making the calls sound good, and then Brad Samples and Mike Stelzner are long time, very decorative, high end calls where they did the carving and the checkering and the stippling and
how many hours?
Stuff.
How many hours did you have to do that?
We only had. It was across 3 days, but it was 10 hours is all that we had.
10 hours total to make how many? One call?
Two calls. 2 duck calls.
Okay.
And they had to be both, functional goods, and they had to be, decorative. So we had one call that was checkered on 2 panels and then carved on 2 panels, and so it was a lot of work squeezed into 10 hours. But when you get on the team and get it all figured out as far as timing and get the stuff in the hands that make it pretty, then they just went to work and their experience shined, and me and Lane took over the sound, and we were able to come out on top in that call making competition.
It just this is pretty amazing, Seth, when you think about it. From the stage in 2022, your little man was not very old. Your son?
Nope.
And to see what has happened since those 2 years, I know who you credit all the success to. And you and your wife. What's your wife's name again?
My wife's name is Julie.
Yeah, and you and Julie, back in late June, took on another responsibility, I understand.
We did. We have been going to a church here at Lakeview Church in Selma, Tennessee, for just about, I guess, going on right at 4 years since COVID, since we moved here, and we recently decided that it was a calling on us to start leading worship. We lost our worship pastor about 1.5 years ago, and it's just kind of been a joint effort. And we prayed about it and talked with our pastor, and we just started the 30th of this last month. June the
30th, yeah. So your career has just been pretty fast streamed. How old are you now, Seth? How old are you?
29. I'm 29 years old.
Going on 50.
Going on 50. That's what it feels like.
And Dave Gabbert, you're listening to this as a waterfowl hunter, and you realize these guys in 10 hours made a duck call that was sounding so good. Then you got a guy that gone into the duck call business, and you got a competitive duck caller here, Dave. And I know how much you love waterfowl hunting. What do you think about what Seth has done here in 2 years?
Well, you got to have the drive and the determination and the passion.
Yes,
which it sounds like he's got.
Yes, he does.
And
there's a difference here, Seth. You told me before there's a lot of difference between competitive duck calling and and duck hunting. I mean,
yes, sir.
And so you're in the call business. But at the same time, folks, he's got some beautiful calls. I've seen them, and we'll get all that information about how you can hook up with him. But the competitive side, as a duck caller, has got to help you put together the call that you want, because it's got to pass your test, right, Seth? I mean,
yes, sir. And I think it doesn't really matter who the call maker is. I think the more that you push yourself to become better at calling and widen your range of air presentations and how to manipulate a call, it might not teach you exactly what to do as far as places on the tone board to do, but it'll tell you when something's not right, and you can start, making changes and trying different things, and you can kind of feel firsthand, if what you're changing on it is, improving the call. So it just takes time, and that's one thing. You said since 2022, it seems like it, but a lot of people see success, or they see their things that they've done in life, and they're just like, man, he got good quick. But this has been something that has been a journey that's been for a while. This is my 10th year. Somehow,
you were a teenager. You were a teenager. You were a teenager when you started this, right, Seth? I mean, you're growing up in Huntington. I bring back Mike again because that's where Mike grew up. Mike McLemore, 3-time world champion, and you look back on that. I know he was part of your influence. And then we grew up in the same town, and of course, when I was a young teenager, and early in high school, I didn't really think anything about contest calling. All I wanted to do was turkey hunt, duck hunt, goose hunt, and squirrel coon, and play football and baseball. But he passed, and as soon as I graduated high school, my dad wanted me to do contest calling. Said that there was one locally in Jackson, and I went to it, and it's been downhill since then. I've been a rabbit hole. I've tried my best to practice as much as I can now, not as much as I used to, but I've now got a family and a son and a wife, so I've got to kind of move my priorities around. You got a full-time career here, buddy, and you're squeezing a lot into it, but I know you're keeping that God first and that family coming right in there too at the same time. Again, we're talking to Seth Fields out of Selmer, Tennessee, by way of, I guess we can say Huntington, by way of now he's in Raymer. You live in Raymer, don't you? Or you live in Selmer?
Yes. I'm in Raymer. It's right next to Selmer, and I joke with the people around me when they ask me where it's at, and I said, well, if you know where Selmer is, I live in the armpit of Selmer.
You live
right over off the edge of it.
Well, we know you're in Beaufort-Pusser country over there, so in that area. But so what's ahead? You got 2 minutes here. Tell me what's up for you. You got any more competition, or what are you doing? What's up? You're working on your garage. I know you're working on your workshop too, right? So
yes, sir. I'm working on trying to get that my shop, finished up over there, at least in my duck call portion, getting walls up, finishing out my electrical, and trying to do it all by hand. Doing all myself instead of paying people out. So it just takes a little time, but I'm hoping to have that all finished and hopefully have electric in there by fall, by end of the summer. I'm working on these calls. I took 25 orders at the beginning of last month on June 13th, and I've been working on them. I've got about 15 of them done if the one that I'm working on right now turns out good. So I'm going to continue working on those and try to practice a little bit. This month we have the world speckle belly and world 2-man speckle belly. World snow goose and the world meat duck. I will go down to judge it because after you win the world meat calling contest 3 times, you can't compete anymore.
So you're going as a judge. Now, when and where is that? Yeah.
That is down in Louisiana.
Okay, in Louisiana. Later this month, in July.
Yes, sir. It's July the 20th.
Okay, all right.
Down in Louisiana, put on by Bill Daniels with Riceland. Custom calls, speckle belly calls. But I'll be heading down there to try to win that spec. And there's a world team meat calling contest, and I'll try to get on a team and win that.
You're still working too, right? I mean, you got a real job too. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I work on call 7 days at a time, and I'm off 7. So last night I was out. I went out at 10:30 and got back home at 11:45. Went out at about 1:15, got back at 3:30, and went out again at 4:30.
Oh my goodness! Oh man! Well, tell our listeners how they can go keep up with you on Facebook, right, Seth? What do they need to go to? Yeah.
Well, I got my personal page, Seth Fields, and then you can go to Fields Custom Calls. It's my Facebook page. And I try to share updates on, calls and pictures and whatever stuff is. So you can go there, or you can go to my website, and it's fieldscustomcalls.com. And here in a few days, it should open back up to where if you're interested in getting a custom call, there's a tab on that page where you can fill out, your information, and if you're interested in a wood or an acrylic call.
Yeah, they're beautiful, Seth. Thank you, buddy, for short notice to be on with us, and go get them, buddy. God bless you for what you're doing with your church and your family, and folks, check him out. It's Seth Fields, and we'll talk again down the road, Seth. Win that next championship, okay, buddy? All right?
I'll try my best. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Mr. Larry.
All right. Talk to you later. Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray as we roll into our 24th year on the air right here in Memphis. Good morning to all you folks in Brownsville on 1520 AM and 95.3 FM, Jackson, Tennessee on News Talk 101.5, and, of course, right here in Memphis every Saturday morning from 9 to 10:30 on AM 790, 92.9 HD FM. And, we're going from a whippersnapper on our last segment with the World Championship duck caller Seth Fields to a gentleman that, man, I tell you what, early June, middle of June there, this guy got what he needed, and it came at a good time, and I've never seen so much reaction to someone winning a Bassmaster Elite Series event as this guy did at Decatur, Alabama, at the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite. And he can buy a lot of Whataburgers now on Wheeler Lake,
yeah,
and that's
right.
And that's Cliff Prince. Good morning, Cliff.
Good morning. Good Saturday morning to you.
Oh, buddy, I tell you, let's. I know it's been a little over a month, not quite a month, but you're getting close. The reaction to winning that thing, not only just winning, but 80 pounds, 15 ounces, winning that top prize, 4 days, 80 pounds, 15 ounces. And I've watched the video. Folks, you need to just Google Cliff Prince, okay, Prince, and see the following this guy's got. And I hope you don't mind me, Cliff, saying, you're 54, right? I mean,
yes, sir, 54 years old.
I'm tired of talking these whippersnappers on this show, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not aging you, but I'm 81, buddy, and so talk, and I want Dave and Gene to listen in as you relate what this victory means for you, Cliff, and your career and everything like that, and what it's been like since that win. Talk to us about it.
Man, it's been a real outpour of all my friends and family, and it's been great. I wish I'd have won one earlier in my career, of course, but that just made this one that much better. But we sure enjoyed it, my family and I, and we've hauled this trophy all over and and visited with friends with it, and a lot of businesses that I do business with here locally, and it's just been fun.
Well, the Prince of Palatka, Florida, is what he's called, and to win the way you won. But talk about your following, because this is the quote, folks, from the story. I'm just going to read it, Cliff. That fish was obviously a pound upgrade, and a pound in this tournament is a lot. They were all hooping and hollering. That bass right there I went from 13.5 to 15, sealed the victory. And so it meant not only for you, but your fans, buddy. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that last day, leading to the last day,
yeah,
I was through fishing by 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I had pretty much caught my weight every morning by 9 o'clock, and I was just kind of standing in the area, just kind of, guarding it, making sure somebody didn't come through there on accident or whatever, and stumble across them, because I did find them in practice at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And
right.
So leading into the last day, I was thinking I was going to, really train wreck these fish, but I had caught them for 3 days prior to that, and they were pretty much getting keyed in on what I was stolen and all that, and I beat them up pretty good. And anyway, I had caught a decent limit, you know, by my normal time, by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was right there. Somebody was going to have 28 to 29, you know, a really outstanding day to beat me. But when I kind of got off the area because they weren't biting. I'd fished there pretty much all day, and I left the area because I knew about 1 o'clock there'd been a window every day that I seen them come up schooling and get active again.
Yeah.
So I kind of left the area and left them alone and got away from them. And as soon as I got back in there and made the one cast that I knew basically where they were, I caught a 3-pounder and caught a fish that was probably, you know, 2 pounds, pound and a half, you know, pound and 3/4, 2 pounds.
Yeah.
And, you know, I knew I went from, you know, 12 or 13 pounds to 14 or 15. And, you know, I just knew that, you know, made a big difference in that. You know, it was really going to have, somebody was really going to have a better than average day to beat that. Because I had a pretty substantial lead going into the last day, but
still, it's a 4-day event, buddy, and the pressure keeps building from day to day. And you've been in this thing before, and I read where the last time you were on that body of water, you finished 105th.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't doubt it. I don't remember where I didn't do real well.
But here,
I remember
so
that.
you're going into this day knowing what this means to you and everything, and to think about that, never give up. I know I got some kids that listen to this show. They're teenagers, and they know how tough this profession is, Cliff. You know it better than anybody. And I've got to ask you about that attitude and the tips that you might give to some young angler that's listening to Outdoors with Larry Ray this Saturday morning and realize that, hey, this is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. I mean, people don't realize how mental bass fishing tournaments are.
Yeah.
And the main thing is, you know, like when you're fishing on a river like the Tennessee River, you know, you just never know when a game changer is going to bite. You know, and you know, a 5 to 7 pound fish was a giant fish in this in this tournament. So any given cast could be, it could be the last cast of the day. Yeah, be a 6-pounder and change your whole day. And so you know you can't ever quit and just say, well, at 1 o'clock I'm going to the ramp.
No,
you know,
no, you gotta hang in there, and of course you've got a very supportive family too. We like to talk about that on this show because if you didn't have that support from your wife Kelly and your kids Gracie and Siler,
Siler,
to have them, a lot of people might have given up. But you stayed the course, buddy. You stayed the course, and
you know, I've had a lot of friends that have tried it and haven't had the support that I've had, and it's not easy.
No,
you got to have everybody behind you in it, and you got to put 100% effort into it. These young kids that are coming up, I mean, they've back whenever I was their age. I didn't have junior fishing, high school fishing, college fishing, and all that. If I did, I probably wouldn't have went to school quite as much.
That's probably true. Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, you know, these guys are really good coming up through the young age group, and
but
they've been there, done that, and seen that, and it's that. You know, you may have went somewhere and not had the success, but you've had the experience.
Yeah, and we couldn't let you go without your sponsors here. What you were using, that Z-Man Evergreen jackhammer.
Yep.
With that snowstorm colored Bass Assassin Little Boss trailer, all those things. Yep. I like to talk about sponsors because these people have hung with you too. I mean, you've got some...
Yeah, you know, that trailer on the back is a little different than a lot of guys throw. I know a lot of guys throw a different type trailer, but
not
that's
you.
Always been a staple for me. I've caught a lot of good fish on that Bass Assassin lure, and not just the Little Boss, but several other things. But, they're an awesome company. They've been with me for years, and
great company.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other supporters you've had. I mean, you still. What boat are you using now? What boat are you using?
I'm
now?
running a 920 Elite 2 made by Phoenix.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I've been running them for about 9 years now, and
they've stuck with
no issues, man. They've been awesome. Gravely mowers, they've been with me for several years. I'll build an awesome machine. Owner hooks, Garmin.
Oh, that Garmin guy. I met our regional manager here a couple of weeks ago up at Reelfoot, and talked a lot about that. But before we let you go, I know that your days of being a cowboy are long gone, and so
yes, sir.
I just wonder what life has meant to you when you gave up being a competitive rodeo circuit, and here you are now with this big win and $100,000. But I know the money's great, but at the same time, the satisfaction's got to be there that you made the right decision, right, Cliff? I mean,
oh yeah, man. I enjoyed rodeo whenever I was younger, but my passion was always been in the outdoors, hunting and fishing. And whenever I discovered fishing and turned it into tournament fishing, that was the changer for me. That's what turned me on to bass fishing. And I like I say, I enjoyed rodeoing and riding horses and all that, but this is a lot easier on my body.
A lot easier. Yeah. I know our two co-hosts are listening to that. I just wondered, did you get anything from Whataburger for winning this thing? I mean, lifetime Whataburgers?
No, I hadn't discussed that, but
I think you better work something out, Cliff. I think that
yeah.
I should be seeing you driving through the Whataburger line someplace. Okay, I mean,
That's right.
Hanging out the window. Cliff, thank you, buddy, for being with us on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Appreciate Chad Gay for setting it up. A lot of fans in the Memphis area. And, folks, if you want to find out, tell them how they can keep more information about you, Cliff. Where do they need to go to?
Hey, you guys check me out on Instagram and Facebook on there constantly. And if y'all got any questions, hit me up.
Do it, buddy. Thank you, Cliff. Have a great weekend, and we'll stay in touch. We got your number now, okay, man? All right?
Awesome, man. Anytime.
All right, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we're going to wind this thing up with some it's almost pun time. And they're coming up. Yes, it is. It's pun time. And we'll be right back with Pun Master himself on Outdoors with Larry Ray.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we're getting ready to roll out. You know how much I love history and how I love to read books and keep up, particularly with the local area. And I've been a real fan of this next guest on the show because I've read just about everything he's written. I guess when it comes down to it, I got a little collection myself that I've been happy to read many of Jim McCafferty's books because they're a true testament to the outdoor world in the Mid-South. The Bear Hunter, The Life and Times of Robert Edgar Bobo, and The Cane Breaks of the Old South. I love that one. And Hunting Bear and Panther in the Old South. And Jim has come up with another book that, hey, this has got to be on everybody's get-to list, particularly all of us that love the National Bird Dog Championships and Ames Plantation and follow bird dogs in the Mid-South. And I know I've got a lot of listeners out there right now on today's show because Jim has come up with another one here. It's called Bird Dog Man, the story of W.W. Titus, father of the National Bird Dog Championship Field Trials by William W. Titus, with introductions, supplements, and notes by Jim McCafferty. And we're happy to have on with us on this Saturday morning, Jim McCafferty. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Larry. How are you today?
I am doing great, and I know Gene Smith gives a pun on just about every segment. Gene, you don't have a pun that goes along with a dog, do you? I mean,
no, I got one about old age. You talking about getting old age? All these whippersnappers.
Yeah, tell me that before we go to Jim. Jim, this kind of breaks up our conversation a little bit here, but it's good. Go, Gene.
Well, this guy complained he was so old when he goes to a restaurant, the cafeteria, to get a boiled egg, they want him to pay in advance.
Oh, God. You don't get many of those, Jim, when you talk to anybody else on any radio show. I mean, it's part of our tradition here, Outdoors.
That's good.
Well, let's get into it. Thank you, Gene. Did you get that, Dave? Didn't go over your head, did you, Dave? Okay.
No, I didn't. No, it was, that sounded like the yoke was on him.
The yoke was on him. There you go. Oh, this don't get going.
You're plowing his field there, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. But let's talk, because I just got this in the mail this past. I have not had a chance to read it, but I will. Jim, talk about this latest effort from Canebrake Publishing Company, you out of Macomb, Mississippi. Talk about this, Sam. A celebration of 150 years of American field trials. Talk about it.
Well, that it's just fortuitous that it turned out that way. I'll tell you, when I was working on this book, and even when I finished it, I hadn't even thought about that connection. It was that the sport of bird dog field trials in North America began in Memphis in October 1874.
Y'all hear that?
So
y'all hear that?
I didn't know that.
No one knows that, but Jim. But you're going to know it now. Because go ahead, Jim. Because it's
and this is a kind of a preface to the story of W.W. Titus. There was a gentleman in Memphis named Pink Bryson. That was a nickname. His real name was Pinckney Bryson.
Okay, all right.
And Pink was just a kid when the Civil War began, and he signed up with the 4th Tennessee Infantry and fought with them all during the Civil War and survived it, just barely.
Yeah.
And when they mustered them out in Greensboro, North Carolina, he weighed about 100 pounds and made his way back. And he was a tall fella, apparently.
Okay.
And he made his way back to Memphis, and they didn't know whether he was going to live or not. But his family doctor there told him, what you need to do is you need to get fresh air and exercise. He suggested bird hunting to him.
Uh-huh.
So Pink became a quail hunter. And he started reading magazines of that day. The big one back then was the Turf Field and Farm, the Forest and Stream, and American Field. And anyway, Pink got interested in something that was going on over in England. They started field trials in England, like in 1867. I think they had the first one over there. So he and a fellow named Arthur Wheatley, who lived in Memphis also, who was a writer for some of these magazines. He wrote under the name Guido, Guido.
Okay.
I believe that was his pen name. Anyway, they organized the first field trial, and it was held at the old fairgrounds.
At the old fairgrounds,
basically where the Mid-South Fairgrounds were.
Yes.
Let's call it the Memphis Fairgrounds then. And they held the first field trial there in October 1874.
Wow.
And it was a little slow getting off. By the 1880s, they were having them all over the country.
Yeah, yeah. But
and that's where we get the W.W. Titus. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's got to kick the story off, folks, that it starts right here in Memphis, and the way that I can't wait to get into it, because it tells the story of the birth of the field trials, which we now know at Ames Plantation. Of course, that's an annual event in February here for over 100 years. But it gets into so many characters, and that's where Jim has been able to develop these things, that he finds these people, whether it's critters or whatever it might be, but he takes it and studies this the life of this W.W. Titus. And he's got it illustrated, and of course he's got to look. The way I look at him right now, that looks like somebody from the 1880s or something like that.
It's around that the cover photo you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well,
they all got on coats and ties, guys.
I mean, they do.
Yeah.
That picture was made by a fellow named his name is Edmund Osthaus. Osthaus.
Okay.
And he was a well-known painter of bird dogs and bird dog scenes back in the late 1800s. And that scene is called a Mississippi quail hunt.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was painted from something he saw, I think, on the Paul Rainey place up in near Ripley, Mississippi.
Okay, all right.
Which Rainey was a very wealthy man who was involved in the early bird dog field trials. But Titus actually was born in on Long Island, New York.
Oh, that's good.
And
I saw that. Yeah.
And he was a trainer up there. He trained for men in New York City. And he met a couple of men from Mississippi, James Gordon from Pontotoc and Rollins Young from Corinth, who were early field trial judges. In fact, they were the judges at the first field trial in Memphis. Well, and they were up in Long Island, on Long Island for a field trial they had up there for the Eastern Field Trial Club. And that's how Titus got connected with the South, because Gordon wrote him a letter a few years later and said, if you're looking for a place, these bird dog trainers would come to the South and train on Bob White in the wintertime because there's a place to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
So come down here to Pontotoc and train down here. And he did, and he ended up staying in Mississippi, and they would train the dogs on quail in Mississippi during the wintertime. Then in the summer, late summer and early fall, they would go up to the Midwestern prairies and work them on prairie chickens. And anyhow, Titus, as the field trials proliferated, Titus got concerned that there was no real way to know which dog was the best. And so he started advocating for a national championship. They had a lot of local championships.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading right here, because I see where William W. Titus was inducted in the Field Trial Hall of Fame in 1959, and then Billy Titus's grand dog, Count Whitestone. Yeah, was named to the Hall of Fame the following year. Of course, we all know these, and again, we're talking to Jim McCafferty of Macomb, Mississippi, about the bird dog man, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but Jim, you've broken it down into years, which I think is a great idea to make it run through all the way to the epilogue, where it brings us all back to Hobart Ames and the National Bird Dog Championships and things along that line. And I know it's just chock full of information. That to me, even though I haven't read it yet, by doing it by these 16 chapters leading up to all the way to where are we going to here? We're all the way up to 1896 and 18. Did that just prove the best way that he put this thing together, going by year to year? Is that the way it works?
Well, actually, I took what he wrote and I broke it down to years.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because you've broken it up wonderfully.
And then about the last quarter of it, see, he wrote his memoirs 30 years before he died.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so what I did, I picked up after he finished his memoir. I picked up at the time after that and wrote about his life and his work. In fact, some of his greatest work was done after that as far as the dogs go.
Well, it's just an amazing book here, folks, and it ends what I like about it, Jim, that it takes in it goes to the Hobart Ames and all the other and we bring in the West Point, Mississippi. Of course, that's what we know. The
first three championships were at West Point.
We're at West Point, Mississippi. But there's so much interesting things on this. I wish we had more time, Jim. But tell our listeners now. It's called The Bird Dog Man: The Story of W.W. Titus. We got a couple of minutes, so tell our listeners how they can get a copy of this.
Real quick, I want to tell you they moved the championship to Grand Junction because they had smallpox.
That's right. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, but, I'm not gonna give away everything, Jim. There's too much good stuff in here.
I probably shouldn't have said that. But at any rate, you can get this book. I would encourage you to patronize your local bookstores. Novel Bookstore in Memphis carries it.
Good. Okay.
Square Books in Oxford, Mississippi carries it. Cotton Row Books in Cleveland, Mississippi carries it. Those are my North Mississippi stores, and I don't know how.
What about online? Can we get
online? You can get it at Amazon.
Get it at Amazon. Okay, buddy. All right. Well, I cherish this, man. It's even autographed. I like that. I appreciate you doing that. Jim McCafferty, thank you, buddy. I wish we had more time, but I'm going to read it. When I get through with it, I'm going to get you back on, and I'm going to tell you how much I loved it, okay? I can already feel it right now in my hand right now.
Thank you so much, Larry, and nice to have met you, Dave and Jim.
All right, buddy. All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, let's take a break on Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM.
Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. I don't know why I say that every time for so many years. You know, it just comes out automatically. Sometimes I think I lay down in the bed at night and say, welcome back to the bed. This is Outdoors with Larry Ray. I've done it so many times.
Wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and announce it.
Yeah, well, I do that too. 24 years of doing this, but wow, I still think it's the fastest 90 minutes in outdoor radio program.
It is.
Maybe Gene and Dave, Gene Smith and Dave Gabbert, they're sitting in with him, and it's been hard to get in a word edgewise, not just from us but our guest. But we're going to give this next guest plenty of time. In fact, when we go off the air, he may still be talking, okay? But we'll let him just carry on. But before we bring up this mystery guest.
It would be a really dull show if your guest didn't say anything.
Well, that's true. Well, today we're going to give this guy. But we're going to start on our last segment of today's show. We're not going off the air, but with a pun from the pun master himself. And we've been taking phone calls here. No, we hadn't. No, about which one. All right. Before we come to our mystery guest here in the last segment on today's show, Gene Smith, how about a pun to lead into this?
Well, this is actually a true story. I was at the bank the other day, and I was at the ATM machine. And this little lady walked up. She said, she said, "Would you mind checking my balance?" And I shoved her.
Oh man. Oh, okay. All right. That's a hard act to follow, but we're going to try to do that. We're going to try to do that because we've got some really good news to announce on Outdoors with Larry Ray. I know the word's out, so to speak, but we've got something to announce ourselves on this Saturday morning. Some really good news. We're being truthful on this, but we got Mark Copley on the line with us, and you folks in the Mid-South know Mark. He bleeds blue and gray with the University of Memphis, and he also loves this part of the country, and he spent a lot of years here, and his ties are still here. But Mark's moved on to South Carolina and has been on a journey, but his journey is continuing because he's moving to God's country, and I'll let Mark Copley explain what's happening with Mark Copley.
Good morning. Well, that's a mouthful, but good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Good morning.
Tell us, Mark, what's because all of us know and appreciate you, Hall of Famer like you are, to know that your many years with Strike King and all those things. Your journey has now taken a turn, and you're heading back this way. So tell our listeners what's going on in your life.
Well, Larry, as I told you earlier when I called you,
yeah,
just when you think you got God figured out, and you know what He's doing with your life, you better buckle up your seatbelt because He's always working, and this is indeed a move by God. But I will be moving back. I'll actually be moving through the 901 to the 501.
Yes,
From the 803, but the 901 is still in my heart.
Okay, yeah.
I have accepted the Director of Marketing position for Express Boats and Veranda Luxury Pontoons.
Wow.
Which are located in the beautiful city of Hot Springs, Arkansas. So
all right.
I will be as close back to Memphis
hey, a round of
as I have
applause.
been in a long, long time.
A round of applause. So you're officially. When do you start with them? Are you already on? You start next week. When do you have to start in Hot Springs then?
when we hang up, I'm getting in the car and headed towards Memphis.
Okay, all right. So as soon as you
spend
can
the
get
night in Memphis with my oldest son, and then I will be in Hot Springs tomorrow.
Okay, and you'll be on
ready,
the job.
ready to go to work on Monday.
That is great. That is great. And I know your years with Strike King and Rather Outdoors, and then you had a temporary job there for a while, but your heart's been back here, I know. So explain what this means to you and your family.
Well, absolutely, yes. And, our family is all from the Memphis area. My brother still lives there.
Yeah.
My wife's parents are still there.
Yes.
We'll be, 2.5 hours, 3 hours max from Hot Springs. So instead of that 8.5 to 10 hour drive that it can take from Columbia to Memphis, we'll be there and in a heartbeat. And another good thing, you said I bleed blue and gray.
Yeah,
I can actually come back and watch some Memphis.
You can actually come back and watch things here where your heart is. So talk about the company you're going to work for, though. We want to know a little bit more.
Absolutely, and what a company it is, and it's family owned. It's owned by the Herndon family.
Yeah.
And, Rodney, who is Rory's father, ran it for all those years. Rory is the president now, and he runs the company. And what a great opportunity this has been extended to me. And I'm sure the Clay Connor, who was in this position before me. Clay is a dear friend, and him and I go back a long ways as well. And it's just what a great company and what a great boat that they build, both on the aluminum boat side and on the pontoon.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It's I'm just overly excited to get there and get started and be back in the industry that I love so dearly, which is the fishing side. And yes, it's the boats, but it's a boat that a lot of fishing goes to. So,
and I'm sure Julie and you got Micah and Wade and what Jacob now. I don't know how old Jacob is now. I mean,
you wouldn't recognize him. He's getting ready to turn 20.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
He's actually staying here. He's going to say he started college at Charleston Southern.
Well, I thought he did. That's what I was, So that's a great school.
He's going to stay here. He loves the college, and at least for now, he's going to stay here. Wade is going to stay here. Him and a friend are going to get a place together, and they're going to stay here. So it's just going to be me and Julie for now. But you know how things change.
Oh, no, I know that. And to be in Hot Springs, what a great place to be.
It's a beautiful area.
With all the lakes, Hamilton, Catherine, Ouachita, that all the lakes that you can do that. But we're just
want to be close to some good friends. Mark Davis over in Mount Ida.
Mount Ida, Get your picture
Mark
made
Rose
at the
and Forest City and Wynn. Which I think once half of his house is in Forest City and the other half's in Wynn.
Well, he's got enough land; he could be wherever he wants to be. That's what he can do. What he wants to. Well, we just wanted to break this story, folks, on the last segment of today's show, because we were so happy. We'd heard through the grapevine, as only Ron Wong could find out for us, and then that kind of opened up the door. And I got the final press release from Mark on his previous job, and I can't wait to get press releases about express boats. I hope I'm on the mailing list. Okay.
Absolutely, you will be. And
you'll
let me
have
tell you, I will be tooting the proverbial express boat horn.
Well, we can proverbially put them on the radio here, because that you are now. It's hard to promote South Carolina, buddy, but we can handle Arkansas. Okay.
You can handle Arkansas.
Yeah,
yes, you can.
And we might make.
I look forward to telling the story about express boats and veranda pontoons, and tell people where they can find one. And but most of all, just I'm happy to be back in my part of the country.
Well, I want you to know it's 98 in Memphis today, so get ready for that. So
well, it's 98 here.
Okay, it's hot over there too.
Ready.
Yeah. All right, Mike Copley, we love you, buddy. Thank you for you.
We love you guys.
God bless you too,
man.
You
having me on.
All right, we'll talk to you. Thanks. Be safe travels. Okay, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Mark Copley. I just wanted to kind of break that news, folks. He's coming home. I mean, I can see the enthusiasm in his voice, and getting back to this area, and particularly we got two guys here that, of course, Dave has got Memphis ties for sure. I mean, he went to West Side. We can say that, can't we, Dave? I mean,
oh yeah.
And if you don't know where West Side is, it's still out there. I mean, grew up in Fraser, but on family land now in Lexington. And of course, Gene Smith is not only a legend in his own mind, but a legend in our mind of what Gene has meant to this show in all these years, and to hear somebody be happy about a job. This has been.
Yeah. If you're happy, you're not working.
Well, this has been kind of a happy show, I thought, for the July 4th. We got a duck collar. We got Grand coming up. We got a guy just won $100,000. We got a guy just written a book. And then we get to break a story about a guy coming back to the Mid-South and the 901 and the 501. But appreciate all that. Any closing thoughts as we leave on this July 4th holiday from Dave Gabbard?
And, just want to wish everybody a safe holiday.
Yeah, watch those fireworks. Yeah.
And,
I mean,
we're going to – I've had my grandson down all week working him, so, we stopped the other day at the fireworks stand, and I believe we're going to finish shooting off what he had bought.
What you got left, okay. This being a week.
I got to get out here. I got to get out here and load my trailer up and get it roadworthy because I take off tomorrow. We're going to go camping for a couple of weeks.
I thought you were.
And,
yeah.
And up on visit beautiful Tennessee, up on Dale Hollow.
There you go. Yeah, one of my favorite places up there, Dale Hollow, the home of that world record smallmouth one time, right? Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, I thought Billy Westmoreland. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong. Somebody will tell me.
Yeah, that's Billy Westmoreland up there.
That's a famous thing going there. And, Gene, watch yourself, okay? Be prepared now.
Yes, sir.
All right, and appreciate both of y'all. And next week, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Wong. It is our pre-ICAST show. Ron Wong's going to get all the guests. I'm going to sit here and listen to Ron talk about ICAST coming up pretty soon in Orlando, Florida, and we'll be talking about that next week. On
ICAST, UCAST, MeCast?
MeCast, all cast. Yeah, okay. All right.
That was good for him down there.
Yeah, but this is what we always say. It doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. What else, guys? God bless the USA.
Yeah. Amen.
Happy birthday, America.